Hi everyone! In this video, I'm going to be joined by Marvin.
Hi Eva.
Who's going to walk us through his favorite features in this release.
Right. One of my absolute favorites this release is the column expression node to do advanced ETL. A further highlight is that our XGBoost extension is finally out of labs with a few extra features. And finally, I want to show a few bits and bobs about our database and connection nodes.
Awesome, let's get started.
Right. How about we dig right into column expressions?
But before we do that, what are column expressions actually?
Good question. I think this is best shown if we head right into the node itself. Your task usually is you have some data you want to get somewhere. In my case, I might have some raw numbers and I want to make sure they're always above 0. So in this case, this is what we can do. We've got a whole set of functions to work with maths and strings and other types of data. So in my case, I said above 0. Let's say I want to take the absolute value of one of my columns, in this case, maybe raw data. And if I want to ensure that it's always at least 1 even, not only positive, I can just type normal maths code as if it was an expression. Hence the name. I can just save and done. This allows me to chain a lot of these expressions to get really very advanced and powerful functions.
So up until now, I would have used string manipulation and math formula nodes, right?
Exactly. These two nodes are combined or extended with the column expression node, but it also brings one really important additional feature. In Advanced tab, you can see you can enable multi-row access. This allows you to work with previous or coming rows. For instance, if you want to know whether your previous word was a pronoun or whether you want to make sure that it had the same value as your current row. Another example is this time series you can see here, where you simply want to compute the derivative. This now gets super, super easy, specifically with a single node that you can see here. You just say raw data before and raw data in the current row, and you're done. If you want, you can additionally use a second node. In this case, I'm summing over multiple rows to make sure that they get averaged out. So I smooth my data. And with these two simple nodes, I get an input and a smooth curve, as well as a smooth and a raw derivative. And you can see you get a very smooth derivative with two simple nodes.
Awesome. What else do you have?
Another really cool feature is our XGBoost library that is finally out of labs. With this decision, we also brought in a few extra features, one of them being row weights, where you can give each of your sample an individual weight.
Why would I want to do that?
It depends on your data set. So if you have a very imbalanced data, for example, in our case, when we're doing text processing and we have a lot more negative statements available than we had positive statements that you can see in this bar chart, we can give the positive statements more weight to tell our system that it should really use them to learn because it doesn't have as many examples. If you look at the outcome of our machine learning setup, we can see that the accuracy of both our models, one with and one without the weighting, are quite similar, but the sensitivity gets a huge boost by this. Another addition is feature importance. So now that you have a trained model, but you're interested to find out how it makes decisions or what sort of impact strongly affects the output, what sort of input strongly affects the output, we can have a look at the gain here. In our case, we can see that very negative or very positive strong words also had a strong impact on the prediction our model made. And lastly, what I wanted to add is we also support byte vectors now, really cool in the domain of life sciences if you're working with chemical fingerprints, but also in text processing scenarios.
Thanks, Marvin. So our time's nearly up. Anything else you think is important to mention?
Yeah, 3 small things. For once, our Microsoft nodes got a small update. We now support custom AD applications as well as Azure signups as new data source. The data we get from there, we can put through our new database nodes. We've got a DB concatenate node to concatenate databases, as well as a DB looping node that supports the in statement. And finally, we can write this data now with our finished SharePoint Online list access and the SharePoint Online list writer.
Awesome, Marvin. Thanks for the update.
Sure, I'm happy. I hope our community enjoys the features as much as I do, and I'm very interested to see what you guys come up with on the forum. Happy Knime.